Hello and welcome to Shootin' the Breeze. I'm WECT First Alert Chief Meteorologist Gannon. Spring is handing off to summer as this 16th episode of Shootin' the Breeze is hitting your stream. And that means another Atlantic hurricane season is ready to open up. Let me take a moment to invite you to watch WECT News on Wednesday, May the 29th at 5:30 p.m. for our annual hurricane season special. This First Alert Weather Team programming will help you and your family get back into the mode of storm season and ready for whatever the Atlantic may dish at the Cape Fear region in the months ahead. We hope to see you there. In the meantime, it's trivia time. And this episode's question is on hurricanes' smaller spinning cousins, tornadoes. So, try your hand at this. The Cape Fear region's strongest tornado on record spawned from which kind of weather system? Was it A, a spring cold front, B, a fall cold front, C, a landfalling tropical storm, or D, the remnants of a Gulf of Mexico hurricane? I'll have your answer when we wrap up Shootin' the Breeze in just a few moments. Tornadoes are thankfully rare in the Cape Fear region, but the ways they can form are many. And in this episode's Forecaster's Notebook, a profile of the setups your First Alert Weather Team looks for possible twisters. Foremost, certain passing cold fronts focus the dynamic and thermodynamic ingredients for tornadoes. And these can manifest in kinks along storm lines or individual rotating storms just ahead of the main frontal zone. These are called supercells. These setups are most common in spring and fall. Very often, the ingredients are overt enough for the National Weather Service to hoist a tornado watch, and that can be up to several hours before the roughest weather window. Summer heat and humidity storms are less apt to have the frontal dynamics for tornadoes, but collisions between or mergers of two of these hot season cells can sometimes manufacture the rotation necessary for a brief tornado spin-up. In hurricane season, tornadoes may come from tropical or remnant tropical systems, especially if we're on their eastern flanks as they come up from the south. The natural rotation of the rain bands in these sectors can leverage twisters. And finally, any late summer waterspouts that form over our warm inshore waters technically count as tornadoes if they can make a brief landfall. Mercifully, these tend to be very weak and short-lived, but they can be sneaky in forming on otherwise fair weather days. Between these four diverse tornado setups, your First Alert Weather Team can be monitoring twisters at any time of the year. Your WECT weather app keeps you plugged in with custom videos, important official alerts and bulletins from the National Weather Service, and of course, interactive radar. WECT, and thereby First Alert Weather, is getting brand new graphics. And for this behind the scenes segment, our Gabe Ross is here to shoot the breeze about the transition. Gabe, tell us when viewers, users are going to see the new look on TV and online?
Well, for TV, it's going to be just a couple days after the Memorial Day holiday. So we're looking at May 29th there. We're going to launch sometime during the course of the day. You may see some slower changes elsewhere. You know, we have the Weather 24/7 stream that we keep tabs on, and also your WECT First Alert weather app. That's going to be more so an icon change, which is going to be part of this new graphics look. But gradually, we'll make sure that we're all on the new format here, certainly by the end of June.
I love it. I love those consistent icons. I like partly cloudy to look like partly cloudy here or there. So that's some heavy lifting. And really, Gabe, you've been doing the most heavy lifting. You've been central to this graphics transition. And with all the different platforms, you mentioned the 24/7 streaming channel, and of course on TV and all of our digital products. How do you go about organizing this shift, kind of turning the Titanic? What's the method to your madness?
Well, it starts out with a set of base templates. Those base templates are provided by our parent company, Gray Television. They say, hey, this is the general look that we're going to have for all of these graphics. You can make modifications based on what your community likes, what your personal preferences are as a station. And so I took some of that into mind too in building it. So you're going to notice a lot of the graphics are a little easier to read. They're better for mobile and digital platforms compared to broadcast. Now, granted, broadcast is a great looking entity still with the advent of high definition and 4K television, and this will help with that. Let's give you a case in point here. This is our current 7-day forecast. Okay, still pretty simple to read. Yeah, we do know it very well, right? We have instances like this. We get to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, scattered or isolated showers and storms. Sometimes people have asked us, well, hey, what's the big difference between the two of those? And really, it's just percentage, coverage, that kind of thing. Our new graphics are right here, and they're a little more streamlined. We know that sun, clouds, and showers and storms are looking about the same, but those icons are now a little more consistent. You notice they're not as real looking, if you will. Sometimes graphics look like they do in nature, other times they're illustrations. In this case, they're illustrations, and we found that illustrations look a little bit better when it comes to TV, and are frankly easier to decipher for most folks when they're on the WECT weather app, and just across all platforms in general.
Like the fonts as well, they're nice and crisp. We were really stoked when we saw some of these elements come right down from Gray Corporate Television. As we talked about, I know in a previous episode of Shootin' the Breeze, I think episode 7, you've been around TV all your life. You kind of came up around TV. Is this one of the nicer graphics packages that you've ever worked with or seen?
Yeah, it really is. And you know, every few years it's a good idea to do a refresh, right?
Yeah.
You don't want viewers to get tired of looking at the same old thing. And that's part and parcel what this does. It's a new look. It's still the same information, but it's displayed a little bit differently. But that's the goal, is to outdo what you did before. Here's another case in point as we take you to the national radar map, composite radar and satellite as we often refer to. This is okay. We used to have individual templates for things like this to allow us to show composite radar and satellite and to help us differentiate it. Now the new look is going to be similar. You're going to see a lot more locations from a national view, certainly, but the products are a little better too. So these are all built within one master, what we call data set. So if we're ever in active weather and we need to bounce around from a composite radar and satellite to the local Doppler radar to perhaps even a tropical satellite in the event that we have a tropical system bearing down on the Cape Fear, we can do so with much more ease. The programming behind the scenes makes it more streamlined for us too, to get new information to you at a quicker pace.
So it's crisp, it's new, same First Alert weather commitment, but just a new look. Gabe, thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here on Shootin' the Breeze. Let's see how you did on this episode's trivia question. Kind of a two-parter. First, you're implicitly invited to reflect on one of the darkest days in local weather history, when the Cape Fear's strongest tornado on record, an EF4 by today's ratings, slammed parts of Riegelwood, Columbus County, and some surrounding communities in 2006. The twister's violent winds of nearly 200 miles per hour killed 8 people injured nearly 20 others, and damaged or destroyed more than 30 homes. This infamous twister struck just before sunrise on November 16th of 2006. And it was the work of a strong fall cold front. Well, I hope you enjoyed this 16th episode of Shootin' the Breeze, Sweet 16. Feel free to connect with me, as always, on these platforms if you have a question about a topic you saw here on Shootin' the Breeze. If you have a suggestion for a Cape Fear or Carolina weather item you'd like to see covered in the future, or if you just want to say hello and what's the good word. And as always, WECT.com/anywhere is a great place to find more unique WECT over-the-top content. Hope I'll see you for the next episode of Shootin' the Breeze, and take care.